All right, guys, what I want to talk about is anxiety. And I know a little bit about it, so I do have a place of empathy, of understanding how devastating anxiety can be. And we all have it. So before you think for a second, you're alone out there, you're not. It's a normal human response. And so I want to go through and help you guys understand how I'm going to tell you my story about it, because I had some devastating anxiety, and I want to share that with you and how I got through that. But please understand, no matter where you are, anxiety is an emotion that we all experience. Now, the level of that anxiety can be devastating in some individuals, where others maybe never notice it that much, but either way, the existence of it in itself will affect every part of your life. Now, since we coach on practice, I'm always talking about your practice. It'll devastate your practice. It'll devastate your growth. It'll devastate you being able to have a connection with the people that come in and trust you. And it's something that there is a way around this, and once we really thoroughly understand it. And so I want to start with this. Do you understand the difference between anxiety and fear? Because all of us have been, we always, hey, you got to move through the fear. You have this fear, and fear is just false evidence appearing real. Well, no, it's not. And so I want to really make it really clear on some things. When we talk about fear, fear is an actual situation, and thank God we have this fight or flight system in us to recognize danger, to recognize this in a fear emotion, a fear response that allows us to either fight or flight, move away from that. So give you an example. If I'm out walking my dog and someone else has got a big old huge Rottweiler, and that Rottweiler gets let go and he's coming at me and my dog, that's not anxiety. That's fear. So it's not false evidence appearing real. No, fear is real. It's freaking real. So that dog coming at us is an actual situation, and because I have fight or flight, I can do something to stop that situation, because now I can overpower that dog, hopefully. I can move and get my dog out of the way. There's a lot of different things I can do, but if I didn't have that sympathetic response, I could be in a real serious situation. So fear is something, generally speaking, in today's environment in the United States, it's a rare thing that we experience. We live a very soft life, and because of it, this happens more often. We don't have this in reality. If every day that you woke up, you had to think about maybe you're in deep parts of Africa where there's different Boko Haram or different groups of people that want to come and take your children or murder you, and this happens in a lot of places around the world. That's called fear. That's something very real. So I can be anxious of the situation, but if it happens and these individuals that want to hurt us, they show up, that's fear. That's real fear. How often does that happen in our lives in the United States? Do we really have any real fear? Someone breaks into your house, that's fear. A dog runs after you, that's fear. You're at a theater and a crazy man comes in with a gun, that's fear. I get it. I haven't personally experienced any of those, and I know most of you probably haven't. Some of you have, but those are real situations. So I just want to identify fear is something healthy. It's something that protects us. Anxiety is not. Anxiety, this is where the false evidence, okay? So anxiety is basically a perception of something out in the future that we believe as truth or probable truth. We believe very much this can happen, and we dwell on it. So because of that, we step out of our present environment, and we're no longer living in the present moment. We're living out in the future, freaking out on something that we think can happen. So it's unreal. Yet we dwell on it. We end up dwelling on it. And maybe it's your practice, and you fear, or you have anxious thoughts and unease that, oh my God, I'm going to be out of business in the next 2 months. Okay, that could be a reality, but today it's not. And by thinking that way and living out into the future, it shuts down all creative thought right now. And that unease takes us and disrupts anything that we can do now to make certain that that doesn't happen. It's like if I live in an area where there was a drought and it's a third world country, I can have anxious thoughts about having to be able to eat a month from today. But they don't. They continue to focus on today and prepare, so their mind is always on today to make certain I'm protecting myself. I can have concerns about the future. That's smart. I can be concerned about my practice in the future, but when it turns into an unease and an anxiety that freezes me up, nothing happens, and so I'm basically creating that which I don't want. And so what we end up doing in anxiety is we spend a lot of time dwelling on finding a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Yet we continue to make it into a problem, and we focus all of our attention on resolving this fake situation that's not really real. If we ask ourselves, is it the truth? Is it the full truth? Well, when you put it that way, no. Okay, then stop. And so now that we understand these two differences, this one serves us a purpose. This one never, ever, ever serves a purpose, because again, it's projecting our present moment out of the present moment, and we're projecting in time. You can't live outside the present moment. You have what we call an anxiety gap. There's a gap of a time warp, if you will, whatever. We can't do that. And so how do we get out of this? So let me tell you a little bit about my story, because I want you to know whatever level you have. Some people just have a general unease. I can tell you most of my life, up to about 2 years ago, if someone said, do you have anxious thoughts? I would probably say, well, no, but the truth of the matter, I always have. I just they never built up to where it affected my life. I just, okay, man, I'm anxious about this. Go do something about it. I always had a tendency, if there's something in the future that could happen wrong or it bothered me, I focused on what activities I could do today. That took my mind off the future, because I can't have anxious thoughts and productive thoughts at the same time. So that helped. And so generally speaking, I'd say, no, I don't remember having that. So I never understood someone that had a panic attack or someone that lived in this constant anxious feeling. I'd be kind of like, man, dude, just get over it, just you need to quit thinking that way. So I was not empathetic. And so I believe in life, every challenge I've gone through has been a blessing. In fact, I pray for challenges, because I'd rather be in a challenge to grow into a better person than end up being a softie, and then my mind looking for challenges, and this is what the mind finds. So you're better off having challenges. In fact, I always tell people, most people would be in dire consequences of going into anxiety and freaking out if they were given $1 billion. I know it sounds crazy, but when there's absolutely no financial challenges and nothing you have to get up for, well, you should get up for purpose, then your mind will go find other things. And now you start worrying about your appearance more, how you look more, what kind of house you have, and what someone thinks about you, and all this BS stuff. So challenges are good. Here's my story. About 2 years ago, I started having a general unease feeling and what bothered me was, I'm a little bit out of it today. What's going on? I didn't feel like the confident, let's go get shit done kind of me, and I was curious of what was going on. And in time, I started dwelling on it a little bit, and there's the problem. When we dwell, we get out of being on the path, on the target. A lot of people will use, when we hear the word sin, some people look at that as some nasty word. And sin means to miss the target. And if I miss the target, my mind is somewhere else. If I'm going to get there to the destination, then I need to focus out in front and dwell on getting there and not let my mind drift. I got to come back and get back in focus. but I was letting my mind dwell on the emotional thought, the unease that rose up from my belly. And so that really started, it tumbles you into a whirlwind, an eddy kind of, because it really is a thought that comes up, and then it starts changing the mind, and now the mind begins to form new neural pathways. And so we create it ourselves by dwelling on it. Now, so what happened? In time, over a few weeks, it started getting worse, and I told my wife, I said, I don't know what's going on, Mindy, but I have anxiousness, and I was a little bit like, that's not me. I mean, I'm stronger than that. And so it was a little bit, to come forward with it, but I go to my wife with anything. That's a challenge. But I said, man, Mindy, this is what's going on. She goes, all right, baby, we'll get through it. Do you know what it's from? I said, I really don't, because there's nothing wrong in my life. I'm blessed in every aspect of my life, my health, our financial situation, our children. So we're going out one day to have dinner, and she asked me, she goes, hey, you seem to be feeling better. And I said, yeah, I think I'm through it. I'm feeling pretty good. And just that reminder of this anxiousness I was having brought it back up. And then I allowed my mind to believe there was something here. I allowed it to believe, oh, I have a problem. I didn't. But my mind went down that whirlwind once again, and it built up. And while we were having dinner, I sat there and I voluntarily dove into the whirlwind. I voluntarily let my conscious thought from my heart, I allowed it to stop, and I went ahead and I went with this unreality, and that was the mistake, and it built up into a panic attack. I never knew what that was. And again, I was still unaware at this time what was happening, because I couldn't correlate it to a direct situation. In other words, it wasn't situational anxiousness, like someone that's uncomfortable speaking, getting ready to go speak. So in this situation, it turned into, what happens if it's going to get worse and it's going to go down this way, it turned into kind of a whirlwind, and that vibrational pattern started going, and then the mind ramped up, like my son's, we got this little Tommy gun thing for Halloween, dressing up like Bonnie and Clyde, and you start hitting the trigger, and it's got a flywheel in it, and the more you hit it, it just goes, and this is what happens in this whirlwind, and the mind starts going, and so, holy shit, freaking out, right? Panic attack happens, and it happened to me. And again, this my whole life, I've never had anything like this, and I'm 58 now. That happened 2 years ago, so I was 56 years old. I was blown away. So I left. I said, Mindy, I got to walk outside. And those of you that have gone through it, and I know a lot of you have, I walked outside. I had to walk around to chill. And so this went on for a while, and I was challenged to deal with this. And here's what you'll understand. You can have a lot of support. There's people around you, but the only way that you're going to get through it is you. Only you can get through it. And I'm going to show you some things to do, but only you can get through it. No one can come fix you. It's not going to happen. There's support. There's all kinds of things you can do. I'm not saying to deny yourself from that, but you're going to have to get to the point of fully recognizing that it exists within your thoughts. It exists within your mind. Yes, there can be chemical imbalances and things like that to have to deal with, and it comes to find out that that's what happened to me. But so what happened, I had to deal with this. There's a lot of different things that I personally did. I have a very close relationship with Christ. That's who I am, and that helped. So I started putting my attention and dwelling on that. But I was finding things to do. I was finding actions to do. Tapping techniques. I tried CBD oil, which, by the way, it was impactful. It did help. I really moved into a lot of things. Wim Hof breathing. In other words, what I chose to do was focus on hope and focus on actions I could take instead of playing a victim. and allowing it to take control of me. And I did a really, really good job with it, but it still was something that was there, and I knew, boy, I'm looking forward to a time that this doesn't exist. And that's also, you have to be careful with, because that time is now. You can't just sit there and live somewhere in the future. And I chose to, no, I'm going to live in this, and if this is the way it is, then I'm going to get to the point where I don't care. I'm just going to have to get to the point, okay, there's that thought again. Okay, so what? It's let me just get back to work. And so all of these things I did really, really did help. But one of the things that I ended up finding out, that I was taking a natural sleep supplement, 5-HTP with melatonin, and I was off of it for about a week when I went snow skiing with my family. And during that week, toward, I don't know, 3 days into it, I didn't have it anymore. Now, there's a combination. I wasn't taking that, but the other thing is my mind was occupied. My mind was occupied on having a good time going down that mountain with my son and my wife, and therefore I was like, wait a minute. I was having anxious thoughts yesterday. There's none today. Nothing's really changed. What's going on here? Oh, I'm not dwelling on it. Meaning, I'm not trying to find a solution anymore. I'm just being in the present moment, and that was the biggest impact at all. But bottom line, I got back home, and I didn't realize that the supplement was having an impact. And I was reading a book, because I got back, and the very next day I had a little bit again. I was going, maybe because I'm back in the environment, but I had taken that supplement again, and I found out that in me that could create a off response on the serotonin and epinephrine and things like this. And so I got off of it, and it really, really helped. So there can be things like that happen, but I want to let you know, even though that happened and I was better, I had built up new neuronal pathways. In the past in my life, if I ever had an anxious thought, I never dwelled on it, and I knew that it'll go. I just never did. Well, this time, when some of that unease came back, because of the neuronal pathways, this could happen. It didn't happen as great again, and at this point in my life, it's all but non-existent. But for me, it was a long process. It really was. But what I know today, it won't come back. There's no doubt in my mind, because I understand the difference between these two. And I understand that I have to continue to stay in the present moment, and I have to be very grateful for the present moment, and I have to realize that I can't take things so seriously, and I can't look out and think that this future event that could happen has anything to do with today. All I have is today. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. And so I want you to look for things that you can do. And again, some of the things that I did, I meditated. I meditated on the Word. I did tapping. I did CBD. There's things that'll help you. Do whatever you can as you're going through it. But start understanding, when you take your mind and you focus on, what can I accomplish today? How do I grow to become this better person, this better teacher, this better mentor, this better guide to my patients, and focus on those activities. And then start recognizing, if the unease comes, realize that that's a lie. Realize that you are telling yourself a lie. This is real. Fear is real. Anxiety is a lie. However it happens, it's not real. And it gets to the point that we begin to continue to tell us this. So you can recognize if there's any reason to really have this change in emotion by going, is there a real situation here? Am I in harm right now? And if the answer is no, then realize it's the computer part of your body, the brain, which isn't you. That's not you. You're the heart. There's a place for the brain, and that's to be able to live in this world and be able to have thought and be able to figure things out and have the logic and those things. But we also have the creative part of the brain too, the left, right. But bottom line, what I'm saying is, step away from what that is saying, because all it is something that you built up by dwelling, and now you're listening to the message of the record playing back. Just stop. just stop. Just drop it. Let it go, and go back in. What's the truth? The truth is, I'm pretty blessed. The truth is, I'm living in this country. The truth is, I'll have a roof over my head. The truth is, I can continue to work on my business. The truth is, I have wonderful relationships. The truth is, I'm moving toward better health. The truth is, it's all good. It's okay. And so that's not you. And sometimes we think that chatter is us, and it's not. It's just chatter coming from think about it being someone else talking, and they're in your ear, and just kind of go, well, that's not even real. So understand, have empathy for you guys on this stuff. Been there, but I can tell you this: it's not permanent. It really isn't, and you can start working with it today. Reach out to people that can help you with this, but you can't get rid of it if you continue to think somehow it's real and that there's a problem. The more we understand it's not real, and we quit trying to find a solution. Don't quit spending your time trying to find a solution to a problem that exists. Just start. What I found, I guess, more than anything, the less I tried and the less I cared about it, the quicker it made its way on out. And then understand this too: there's not one person in your life, not one, that doesn't have challenges with anxiety. Not a single person. And so it's part of human nature. It's who we are. And to be strong is to let go. So guys, I'm here for you guys. I hope this helps. Understand you're not alone, and understand that you can get through this, and your business, your life, your relationships are all going to be impacted hugely when you just focused on gratitude and focused on the beautiful day you have in front of you, and don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow, it's got plenty of challenges to take care of it. Let's just focus on the day. God bless you guys. Hope this helps.